Hi, I'm Ernie Zor, and this is Puritas Spring Software's 56th Frequently Asked Questions video. The subject of this video is ChatGPT, one of the latest implementations of artificial intelligence in software. That's what we hear in the news as AI, artificial intelligence. It's probably not much of an exaggeration to say, at least these days, we hear about AI nearly daily in the news. You may have only started hearing about it lately because ChatGPT is relatively new. It was released in November 2022, and as I'm making this video, the app's not even a year old. Now, before I start showing you some really awesome things that it can do, just so we're on the same page, let's define AI. Here's what Wikipedia says. Artificial intelligence is intelligence, perceiving, synthesizing, and inferring information, demonstrated by machines as opposed to intelligence displayed by humans or other animals. Example tasks in which this is done include speech recognition, computer vision, translation between natural languages, as well as other mappings of inputs. Most of that definition you probably guessed already. But what's not readily apparent is that this is a growing field and not as new as you may think. So, for example, I think that the first if-then programming statement was artificial intelligence in its infancy. And for me, that was in the early 1980s. But the construct is said to harken back, get this, to the mid-19th century. So, ChatGPT fits into the mix because it takes Google one step further. With Google, you search based on keywords. With ChatGPT, Google becomes a person with whom you can ask questions rather than simply search for keywords. I'll show you how cool that is in a moment, but first, let's get it on your computer. To do that, you have to visit openai.com. Curiously, when I Googled ChatGPT download, I ended up with many hits that didn't seem to relate. So I advise you just go to the website by entering openai.com on your browser's address bar, which is what I'm going to do right now. Okay, here's the address bar. What did I say? openai.com. All right. Oh, I know what. Now is as good a time as any to give credit where credit's due by mentioning that, hey, ChatGPT is the product of a company called OpenAI. So when it comes to giving credit for this breakthrough program, OpenAI is the company you want to give it to. Incidentally, you may be directed to different web pages depending on your computer. For example, Windows and Mac computers and iPads, they may all have different entries, but I don't know if there's an Android version for non-iPhones. But anyway, once you're at the site like you see right now, there'll be at least two links. Log in over here and sign up. And if you already own an account, you use the login. If it's your first time, you're going to use sign up. So if it is your first time, now I've already got an account, so I would use login. But I'll try to take you through a little bit, and let's click there and see if I can give you any tip. Okay, then they want your email address, and then you're going to continue. I don't know where it's going to go. Password. I'm not going to put the password in because I don't want to create another account, and I'm sure it would error me out because it's going to say there already is an account under that email address. But I just want to show you that you're going through the typical login stuff. So let me back up a bit because I have. Whoops! What happened? There we go. Let's close that window. There we go. Because I already have an account, I would click on login. I don't have to do any of those things with the password and everything like that. I'm going to go to ChatGPT. Okay. But one thing I want to mention, if it's not clear already, is that you must have an account with GPT to use the ChatGPT application, if you want to call it that. One reason, I guess, is that it stores your search results. Again, if you want to call that, search results or conversations from session to session. So it needs to know who you are. And I'm sorry that I'm not aware if there's any storage limitations. I'm sure there are. When you've got your account set up, this is where you're going to end up, right here on this page. The thing that is important is the send a message text box here, because this is where you do all your conversing with ChatGPT. So, at the outset, my first thought was, how can this benefit a law office? So I asked, compose, whoops, it'd be nice if I went into the box. There we go. Compose an email to notify clients, or I think I said customers, that their credit card charge was, gosh, sorry about that. All right, I hit it. Now watch this. Okay, I'm not going to read this back to you, but I will go and let you, I'm going to hold this on the screen for a moment or two so that if you want to freeze YouTube and actually read this, I'll leave it up there a second or two so you can freeze it. And then I'm going to page to the next part of it, the bottom part of the letter, and I'll leave that on the screen for a couple moments so you can read it for yourself. And you got to admit that that's a pretty nice start for a letter that it's giving you. Now, I wanted to take it a step further, so let me go to the next thing that I wanted to ask it, and I'm going to say draft an enclosure letter filing a motion in the Medina Common Pleas Court. Okay. Again, I'm not going to read this. It would take too long, but I am going to leave it on the screen for the top part of the letter. It looked up the Medina County Common Pleas Court address, I see. It's given quite a nice filing letter here, maybe even more than what I'm used to preparing myself. But the point is, and I'll leave this bottom half on the section for a second or two here too, so you can stop action it if you want to read the exact thing. And I'll tell you something else. Since the time that I did this the first time, it seems to have smarted up. Before, it gave me some type of an answer that says it couldn't give legal advice. And I don't know, I guess my question wasn't well framed, but it didn't do that this time. It's actually given me a template or a letter, maybe a little overly long, but a letter that can be used to file motions and other papers and documents in Common Pleas Court. It was nice that it looked up the name and address of the clerk of courts. Anyway, when I got the message saying that there was a comment, I wish it came back right now. It said it couldn't give legal advice. And I thought, well, okay, now we're hitting the limits here. This, not that I wanted to get legal advice from it, but that sounded like a bad omen. So then I asked it this question. All right, ChatGPT. So what functions do you have that would benefit a law office? I suppose it's going to give me a completely different answer than it gave me before. And it is. Really, this gives you a different answer every time you ask it the question. Essentially the same. I don't want to say that this is, give the impression that this is conflicting what I asked it a week ago when I asked it the same question, but it it is going through this is a different answer. And you can see, I'm going to leave this on the screen because this is where things start to get interesting, at least for law offices, because look what it's boasting that it can do. Leave it on the screen a few seconds, and then let me page down. Okay, that was almost at the end anyway, and you can read. But these are pretty impressive list of things. But of course, it's one thing to boast that I can help you do this and I can help you do that, but it's also another thing to actually do it. So the next thing I thought was, well, okay, here's the next thing I was thinking. Can you explain and give an example of how, whoops, sorry about that, you review documents and prepare an analysis that would help a law office? How polite it is. Certainly. I'll let it give the complete answer here, and then I'm going to stop it again so that you can see exactly what it's saying, because it's more detailed now. Did it give an example? Okay, yeah, wow, this is completely different from the answers that it gave me a week or two ago when we were preparing this. But point is that I'm going to leave it on the screen here so you can read it, or I won't leave it long enough for you to read. But if you stop action or freeze frame your YouTube video, you'll be able to read it at your own pace. And let me just move down a little here and get the end of it. 6, 7, and 8 there. And I'll leave that up on the screen. And, as you read it, I don't know, maybe I'm overly excited about this ChatGPT, but I think that these are impressive things that it can do for a law office. I'm going to ask it one more thing, only because these are some of the points that it had raised last time, and I'm going to ask a variation of the same question. Because it said it can do law office communications and help with collaboration, and so again, I asked it, well, tell me more about that, and give me an example, and that's what it's doing right now. I gotta say, it does a nice job of answering the question. The answer is a bit longer than it was in the prior one. Okay, let's go back to the top. I'm going to let you see. Stop it again for a few seconds so that you can freeze frame it. This reply is too long again to try to read it to you, but I will page through it. There are other points that it raised that it can do, and those were in the first question that I asked, and one of the things is translating. Now, some of this time management stuff, I have questions about that. If it's going to manage appointments and time management and things like that, what does that mean? Does that mean I have to get rid of my Outlook if it's going to manage appointments and emails and the Outlook calendar? I don't understand that, and I don't have an answer to that right now, but I will get one, and that is going to be, because I don't want to make a really too long video here, and I think I'm already past my time. Translating, for example, that would really be helpful if you worked with persons or documents that were not spoken or written in English. I don't have much of a use for translating things. I don't know, in 20 years, I think that one time I had to translate a letter in German or something, and there was no translation apps at the time, so I did it the hard way by hiring someone. I am planning another video, as I just inferred, where I take ChatGPT's examples here and I pose real questions, so stay tuned. It is that time, so I want to tell you that it has been a pleasure making this video for you, and I thank you for watching. And don't forget the regular reminder that you should click on the like button if you like the video, because you support our channel by doing that and you let us know that we're doing our job. Also, if you've seen other videos and like the drift of what we're doing, click subscribe and you'll be notified when each new monthly video is released. I know you're busy, so again, you have my sincerest thanks for watching. And until next month, stay healthy and happy. I wish you all the best.